Our Value of Advice ebook and podcast series is proudly sponsored by MediHelp.
Hi, this is Tony at Cover, and I'm speaking to Barry O'Mahony from Veritas Wealth. Barry, thank you very much for taking time this morning to talk to me.
Thanks, Tony.
Brilliant. Maybe just to start off, where does Veritas Wealth, the name, come from? What inspired that?
Veritas is a Latin word for truth or trust. And I think most of us would know the expression in vino veritas. When you've had a couple of too many toots, the truth starts to come out. Yeah, that's what it means.
Person. Okay. And if I was to ask you your sort of elevator pitch in terms of your personal background and how did you end up in financial planning?
Yeah, so I when I arrived in South Africa from Ireland in 93, I got a job probably in January 94, working for a share portfolio management company. I was cold calling. It was horrendous. I was the worst guy ever and very unsuccessful at it. But I got a lucky bounce and they put me into the asset management division. And they had a thing where they used to contact clients every month. And then I realized that my extended family in Ireland of talking to aunts and uncles while it's raining all the time, I was very comfortable speaking to other people. And so over time, with the help of a guy called Sean Stockett sitting beside me, I built up my knowledge of the companies and the markets. And so I did that for 4 or 5 years, managing people. I built a whole enterprise around the country for us. And then I left and I joined Braid Unit Trust. I was a marketing director of Braid Unit Trust. And then I was working with Andrew Bradley, and Andrew had wanted to bring IPAC into South Africa. IPAC became Access, and Access is now Old Mutual Wealth, basically. And that meant I was the first person in the country carrying a card which had practice development. So I was actually, first of all, helping guys to do financial planning better. Lifestyle financial planning is how we call it. So I had a philosophy that we were teaching them. But then we had tools, cash flow modeling, which would probably have been the first time anyone had ever done that. And then I don't know how long I did that, probably 3, 4, 5 years. And then I decided, no, my son was actually, my wife was pregnant with our son, Connor. So 20 years ago, I went out, 1st of August, I went out on my own and he was going to be born. He turns 20 at the end of September now.
Okay, perfect. And on this journey, what did it mean for you to win as the Financial Planner of the Year?
Massive game changer, just massive. And the surprise for us came with our existing clients. You think you're doing it to be a public figure, more publicity and more opportunities, get your name out there, which it does do. But where the biggest reaction came was with our existing clients. They had more faith in their decision of being with you. There were referrals that were very close to them or potentials. And suddenly you were getting those phone calls were coming through to say, I've been meaning to, now I've told my friends that my financial planner won the Financial Planner of the Year. And suddenly our business, that couple of years, and it lasts a very long time. It lasts a very long time. It's a slow burner. So yeah, it was a big turning point for us in our business and gave us great confidence in what we were doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I've heard that message from a few of the guys that won as Financial Planner of the Year. And I think it's also probably an inspiration internally for yourself to make sure that you live up to that.
Yes. Yeah. You got this pressure on you now. Yeah. So you've stuck your chin out.
And now coming back to today and operating in the environment that we are in today, what do you see as the challenges most facing your clients?
Our clients, it's a mixed bag. So the complexity for us as financial planners dealing with our clients is around, right now as we speak, the government of national unity is in play and things have settled down, but you push back 3 or 4 months ago and we had very nervous clients. Not that they were going to act on it, but they were nervous about South Africa. They were nervous in the environment. As the result, the splinter of that over the last 10 years is that we have more of their children that are living overseas. We're finding great complexity in that. As a result, actually, we're doing a joint venture in England, and my colleague Claire is now a CFP professional in the UK. I've actually done 2 of the 3 exams, but I've stopped because Claire is running with it for the moment. But that's how much complexity there is out there. And we felt that we needed to get on top of this.
Okay, that's fascinating. Just from your perspective, then, what are the challenges faced by advisors on the side to keep clients on track, to maintain the trust from the clients with, if you look at the investment environment that is uncertain, if you look at the political environment, as you spoke, to try and have a long-term mindset is probably quite difficult.
Yeah, this is where, and not everybody will agree with this. So I think when I came into it, because I came from an investment background, and I saw myself really, and probably positioned myself in 2004 as an investment advisor who could do financial planning. What I found is the longer I'm doing this, I find that there's more strength and more sustainability in financial planning than there is in investment advice. And if they're right about passive, certainly globally, then if that was all that you were, then I think you're going to be in trouble. So we find that we can offer so much more value to our clients, real value, where they can actually understand their own circumstance. So we can answer that massive question. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are when they come to us. Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? And the answer is typically with our clients, yes, you are going to be okay. And now let's talk about what's going on in your life at the moment. And then let's talk about, oh, yes, and the investments have done poorly, moderately. And then that's actually been one of the challenges for us in South Africa. Anyone in a pension fund in South Africa, those returns are way below the benchmarks that we've set them. And those conversations are getting quite tough now. But if you can go back to the person and say, but you're still okay, you're still on track, even with this poor performance. And we still think at some point, we don't know how, we don't know when or how it'll happen, but we think this thing will go back to the average, go back to the mean, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, it is a fact that once you've got the confidence from the client, do you think that you can maintain that? Do you think it's easier when difficult things happen? Do clients change their mind, or do they stick with what you've said?
You'll always have somebody. The problem giving financial advice is that people are coming into your rooms every month. There's new money that either inherited money, they've sold a business, they've retired, they've sold their primary home. Yeah, those circumstances. So people are coming. So they're coming to you at different time points along the way. And we don't know, as we implement the plan, where the markets actually are at that particular point. So you do have some tough conversations that somebody's given you money to manage, and now a year later you're reporting back to them, and now the thing is down. Now that's a much harder one than we actually met the requirement or we've gone through. We've done even better than that. And in those moments, in those first few years, people are settling. They might have been on board for a year, but they're still settling. And until the performance comes through, we find that there's a little bit of hesitancy in it. What we do in those circumstances, one, we go back to the plan. We show them that they're still going to be okay, even though we haven't met what they're doing. And then the second thing that we do is we show them relatively, look, we could have chosen all of these all of these ones. We're still in the ballpark. Nobody actually achieved what we set out to achieve.
Yes, yeah, you couldn't have done it any other way. The fact is that at least you've got a consistent plan for the future.
Yep.
And that's probably what it's all about. What is your favorite aspects of what you do? What do you like most on your day-to-day activities?
I love, on the client stuff, I love helping people. I just sharing a bit of wisdom that kind of unlocks something for somebody and it comes through. We spend quite a lot of money and time ourselves. Our development work is on becoming coaches, counselors without being that. We're just using those skills of a counselor or a coach so that we can run better meetings. We can discover more about our clients. We can hold them in some of those hectic life transitions, which they will eventually go through. That's very gratifying. Like when somebody says to us, yo, I didn't expect to be having this conversation with a financial planner. To us, it's like, Why,
Mm.
there we go.
Yes.
We did
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we're on the, and when somebody goes there, as I would describe it as, you're not going to lose them because the markets gave that moderate return again. You don't lose people on that. They've gone there with you. They're trusting you. You're at a different level rather than just a reporting back on an investment performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you advise advisors, young guys, maybe people who are new in the industry, to go that same route to make sure that they have the coaching and that sort of skill?
Yeah. So my advice to all young advisors is try and have your own philosophy. Now, this is very difficult if you're in a firm that has no philosophy, but you yourself should be starting to formulate your philosophy that you're comfortable with. In our case, it's called lifestyle. We call it lifestyle financial planning. Somebody else might go goal-based planning, which links then into the financial planning models that are available out there. And then we start to layer that. A CFP obviously is at the base. We assume that you are a CFP or becoming a CFP in this time. And then the next thing that we would expect people to do is on their ability to stay in conversations when there are human transitions is the modern word that we all face. So before we only concentrated on retirement. People get divorced. People die. There are a whole lot of, they're widowed. So there's a whole lot of places where have we got the skills to stay in those conversations, to hold the person and to make sure that they know that they're still going to be okay and we've got it organized.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. When it comes to now talking about the new talent and all of that sort of thing, what do you think the industry can do more to grow new talent and bring more people into the market, especially younger people and people that can work with the emerging market in the country?
So what could the industry do? The industry, I don't think look, the industry is very vast, as Tony, like there's still a massive element of sales. Probably the majority of people in giving advice are actually salespeople, which makes that difficult. But what you've got to know is what you're doing is the right thing. And it's academically, it's backed up. Ethically, it's the right thing. And there's no certainty in what you're doing, but it's a very honorable profession. When financial planning is done, it's a very honorable profession, this with a bad name, with a bad reputation, but you can do it very well. I think that's very important that message it gets across to planners. I think to young planners. I think the second thing is that when they come into businesses, they shouldn't be in sales positions. They should be paid salaries, maybe not a hell of a lot at the start, like in most professions, but they come through and there's a pathway and they can see the pathway and it's communicated to them well. So they're not like put in admin for 4 years. You know what I mean? They're on a pathway to expose them as much as possible to clients' affairs and meetings. So this is what we're trying to do with our guys in our business is okay. And I sit with them and go, how many meetings were you in last week? So their goal is they do a whole lot of other work and supporting and whatever, but they need to be in 2 meetings. And then they have to write the statement of advice for that, which then the planner will check. So if they're not in the meeting, the planner's writing up the statement of advice and now they're checking it. That's being built up. And in our business, they're working across 5 different planners. So they're seeing 5 different people, different styles of how they do it. And then they must choose their way and how they think they would be as effective. You mustn't be somebody else. You must be yourself in these meetings and be authentic to that.
Okay, that's an interesting angle. In other words, what you're saying is that each financial planner at the end of the day will have a slightly different way of doing things and how they manage their clients.
Yeah. So like when I write a statement of advice, I'm very short and very like bullet points. There are other people in our business that on the same statement of advice, they might be out to 5 pages. I might be done in 1. And it's not to say mine is terrible and theirs is great. And there's this fine balance. Now their job is to, okay, you work out which is the right way of actually doing this.
And as a mentor in the business, you have to give them the leeway to be themselves.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm.
And we do that. We do that.
Mm.
So each of the planners is working with them, and we say to them, listen, this is a place of learning. Don't say, oh, they can't do it. And you like, go, if they can't do it, guess what? It's our job to teach them to do it so that this doesn't happen again. So let's get on with this. So it's a different attitude to say, oh, okay, hold it. I can't expect that it's going to be done. I need to help them to get there. But once they're there, once we think we've got them there, then they've got to produce. Otherwise, we've got another problem.
Yeah, but we don't want to create a bunch of robots that all follow the strict standard and direction.
Yeah, correct.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. It was really interesting chatting to you. Really enjoyed that. And
Thanks, Tony.